Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport, and some breaking news. SA Rugby finally has a new CEO, even if it is an interim CEO. Following the departure of Yuri Rufo earlier this year, we do finally have a new sort of captain to steer the South African rugby ship, and it is a very experienced and a very under fire person at the same time, in Riaan Oberholzer, who does take over as interim CEO, and quite interesting for a number of reasons. Before we sort of go through the press release and sort of talk a little bit about the appointment, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. So this is the press release that came out this morning. It says SA Rugby on Friday confirmed that former CEO Riaan Oberholzer had returned to the role in an interim capacity to fill the vacancy left by the departure of Yuri Rufo. He will take up the role immediately and remain in place until permanent appointments are made following a business restructure and on the completion of a planned private equity investment. He was previously the CEO between 1996 and 2003. He was also the tournament director of the 1995 World Cup. He was the first CEO of SANZAAR, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia Rugby, and was instrumental in the establishment of the Super Rugby and Tri-Nations tournaments. Most recently, he was appointed as the administrator of the Western Province Rugby Football Union, hosted by SA Rugby. A replacement for that role will be appointed in due course. Mark Alexander said, "This is an interim role that required someone to be able to walk and hit the ground running," said Mark Alexander, president of the South African Rugby Union. The requirements was for an individual who had excellent understanding of the local rugby landscape, as well as capacity to engage at the SANZAAR, United Rugby Championship, and World Rugby level. This is a well-trodden ground for Riaan, and we are unfortunate that he's in a position to accept our approach. And it is quite interesting because there were rumors that they would actually want him as the full-time CEO, but he basically said no and wasn't willing to take up the job, and that is what has caused such a delay in proceedings. It now sounds like he's happy to take the role on, but just as an interim capacity. And the reason that also the interim capacity is so important is that there's going to be a major restructure in SA Rugby. Basically there is a private equity investment which is going to create a new commercial structure, which will basically create two separate entities. Each of those will require different CEOs. And apparently once that process is done, there will then be an appointment process for those two positions, and then they will move on with our new structure, whatever that structure might be, with some private equity coming in there as well. Now, the reason this is quite an interesting appointment is for two reasons. First of all, there was actually a planned protest tomorrow at Cape Town Stadium ahead of the Stormers Sharks game by disgruntled Western Province Rugby Football Union members, and they had basically, some of them were saying that Riaan Oberholzer was a dictator. Now, I think when you dig deep into those protests, it does sound like members of the previous executive, the one that ran Western Province Rugby into the ground, they were then sort of saying they were the ones that were coming out and saying that that things need to change and this is all. But at the end of the day, they were the ones who ran into the ground. So kind of found like they were trying to find a way back into the system. But he's left is the main thing, I suppose. So we should see those protests even go ahead, because the person that they were supposedly protesting against is actually no longer involved in the Western Province Rugby Football Union, the WPRFU. And so first, we'll be interested to see who takes up that role within the Western Province structures, and more importantly, why he has decided to jump into SA Rugby. And I think this is a very good appointment, because we're talking about being in a World Cup year. We're talking about being, almost at the start of a new World Cup cycle. This is not the time we need for somebody to be learning on the job. And to have somebody there who understands SA Rugby throughout, understands how all the various international structures work, and also has that sort of reputation. So I think reputation is a massively important thing when it comes to these sort of positions. Unfortunately, you can't just go and appoint anyone, even if they've got the skills, and even if they maybe are even sort of slightly more suited to be able to get the job done. They have to have some sort of reputation, because when you go into these sort of meetings in World Rugby capacity and stuff like that, you need to be able to conduct yourself and have that sort of reputation, have that weight in behind your voice that people respect, and you command respect, and you are listened to properly. Otherwise, it's a bit of a no-go, go for no-go. And he very much has that sort of past experience. He has that reputation. I think that he can quite safely arrive at a World Rugby meeting and command the presence that SA Rugby should demand at these sort of proceedings. But let me know what you think of the appointment down in the comments below. Please do smash the like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.